Use the trigger strategy. Okay. Now, what is that? We talked about this, relates to the previous topic because we talked about how your wife tests you. And one of the things you want to do when you're communicating with your wife is to have her fully express all of the resentment inside her. See, when you haven't fulfilled your wife's emotional needs, which is your job, for years, she has all this pent up resentment. That has to be let out. Now, she needs to feel safe to do that. In the beginning, you're not creating the safety yet. But one of the things that does happen often is her getting pissed and getting triggered. I want you to understand that you can trigger her even more on purpose so that in that outburst, she lets out all her anger and resentment. This is super valuable because it allows you to demonstrate that you're not reacting, you're not getting triggered, you're there to listen, you're being a solid bull. And in the meanwhile, what's happening is it's allowing her to pull her bullets, if that makes sense. Because women have bullets too. They have insecurities also. The way they deal with it is different than men, the way men deal with it, but you can support her and be on her side and create the space for her to deal with it. And one of the best ways to do that is to create the space for her to let out that anger, resentment, frustration pent up over the years. Okay? And it will look scary. She will say things about you that you don't like, that you don't want to hear. It might even trigger you if you haven't achieved emotional self-sufficiency. And we have some strategies that we can explore around how to deal with that. If you are triggered in the moment, what to do with that. But it's really critical that you do this because it's like a kickstart. It's like a jump start. Okay, my wife is not really communicating with me. She's not really sharing anything with me. She's emotionally closed off. I know she's pissed at me. She's angry. She's sad. She's resentful. Well, use the trigger strategy to ask the right questions. Apply this so that you can start getting all that venom out of her. And so she can lay it all out on you. It will give her a relief and you'll actually get an insight what she's been holding back and keeping down. It's a scary spot, but very, very rewarding.
Yeah, it's rewarding. And what we're talking about isn't for somebody that got it to slap yesterday. Like there is a volume of work that needs to be done before you have an opportunity to actually be solid, consistent, and reliable in using this strategy. Right, as I said, if you bottom out in relation to where your confidence is at, if you're maybe even in a hotel room because she's kicked you out, or you're not sure when you're going to see your kids again, this isn't an out the gate strategy that you should focus on. You need to focus on doing many of the other components around rebuilding yourself. Otherwise, this is just going to be another heightened argument. It's
If
not,
you
as I
get
said, it's
triggered,
not.
it's not
Yeah,
going to work.
it's not going
Yeah.
to be a test. It's not going to be a test that you can actually pass, um, because confidence and emotional self sufficiency are key components in your ability to be successful in this.
Yep. Yep. And it relates back to the testing stuff that we've talked about, right? Like passing these tests are the biggest bang for your buck because they're the most aggressive, they're the most loud, they're the most scary, they have the most labels on you, right? And like I said, this happens in the kind of like the first phase where her testings are coming from anger. So the more you pass these tests in the beginning, the more angry and frustrated she will get. Okay. Now, eventually, in that venom session, let's call that, all this will clear out. But in the next one, same thing. The fact that you're now second time passing and you're not reacting the way you usually react, that's going to frustrate her. It's going to get her more confused. What's going on? I don't understand. Okay, I'm really going to take him through the ringer. I'm going to throw out divorce. I'm going to throw out cheating. I'm going to throw out this. I'm going to throw out that. I need him to get triggered. How do I do that? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And then it all starts. Scary. Very frustrating for her. But so cool in rebuilding trust, in creating chaos in a way, right? Because it's creating chaos if you really think about it, right? It's chaos in the relationship. She thought there was chaos, but now it's like, who is this man? What's going on? Why isn't he reacting the way that he should be, right? So you keep passing her tests until she can no longer test you. What does that mean? Well, she trusts you in that area. Let's say she's used to you when you're talking about, what example can I come up with? Let's say you're talking about fathering and what kind of a bad father you are. And she starts throwing stuff at you, gathering evidence, pulling things out from her list. And she's losing her shit because, she thinks the kids are not taken care of, blah, blah, blah. Or communication around intimacy, physical intimacy, right? Or communication around some of the chores around the house, or where you guys are financially. Choose any topic. And she keeps bringing these up. And let's say you used to keep defending and over-explaining and interrupting her. And it leads to an argument because you try to prove that she's wrong and she's trying to prove that you're wrong, right? And all of a sudden, you no longer do that. Days go by, she keeps testing you, She will test you up until she's convinced that this new behavior of you being in the communication this way is permanent. Where she's convinced that, okay, wow, this man is here for, this new version of him is here for the long term. I have put him through the ringer. He's not cracking. He's not failing. I've thrown divorce at him. I've thrown cheating. I've come home late. I did everything I could in my testing arena. And he's not cracking. He's being consistent, solid, and reliable. That's when the tests will stop. Occasionally, once in a while, she may throw some in, which is usually an indication that you're slipping back into old behaviors. But once she doesn't have a need to test you because you're no longer doing those things, and she's convinced of that, she'll stop testing you in that area. And then she'll start testing you in other areas. Or she's already testing you in multiple areas, right? And one area you see the test stopping, but another it's not.
Yeah, and it's that journey around safety and security for her, right? She's looking for safety and security. She's been with you for X amount of years. Maybe you initially provided it in the early days, and then you got lazy, you got distracted, you got kids in the picture, you stopped paying attention, and you stopped providing that safety and security for her. And now, as a result of this work you're doing, she's still looking for safety and security. She's still on the hunt for the same thing that she's trying to get rid of you for, because you didn't fulfill, you didn't make her feel safe and secure. So she will continue the tests in order to achieve one of her needs, which is safety and security. And it's not just the physical safety and security. Hey, if somebody comes through the door, yeah, I know my husband's gonna take them down. That's not enough. It's what we're talking about. And another component of the emotional safety and security. So as I said, all the tests are driving her towards, hey, am I gathering enough data where I'm starting to feel safe and secure? This isn't just a fad. This isn't just a 2-week thing. As Andre said, this new version is a version that I can move forward with and have her confidence in it being a new, safe, and secure place for her.